हर चीज़ पे अगर हम 100% फोकस देने लगेंगे so we are going to burn out. So the autopilot in our brain and even our bodies that exists for a reason so that we can keep doing what needs to be done and we still have space to accommodate new information. Yeah, the fountain had stayed with me, but that was the first time I actually picked up books and I said, oh my god, these are actually fun to read. Why haven't I done this before? हमको ही नहीं पता हमको खुद से क्या चाहिए, रिलेशनशिप से क्या चाहिए, तो सिचुएशन में कौन सा फैक्टर कहाँ गड़बड़ हो रहा है, क्या डिमांड है, वो हम नहीं रीड कर पाते. It takes intention every day to decide what kind of communication do I want to have with my partner. चलो अगर ये लड़ाई हो गई तो मेरे को कैसे इसको रिजॉल्व करनी है. आप अगर अपने घर में ही नहीं रह सकते, आप अपने रिलेशनशिप्स को घर नहीं समझ सकते, तो फिर पॉइंट ही क्या है. एंड पॉइंट इज लोगों को पॉइंट पता ही नहीं है. सो व्हेन माय वाइफ इज कमिंग फ्रॉम वन एंड एंड माय मदर इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द अदर एंड, आई रियली डोंट नो मैं किसकी साइड में, तो मैं चुप हो जाता हूँ.
Hello Booknerds, welcome to the Booknerds Podcast. It's season 2 and we have come back smarter, bigger, better and even more mindful. And this podcast today with the author we have on our platter is going to add to that mindfulness aspect of our podcast. The book that we are going to discuss is The Intentional Being. It is a book which I have read like 2 times now because I did another hangout session online with the author earlier. So we wanted to really delve deeper into this book because it needs to be talked about more, because there are a lot of books in the self-help, self-improvement genre these days. Some good, bad, worse, ugly. You guys know it. But The Intentional Being has a particular space which it truly deserves. So yeah, let's welcome the author and then I'll introduce, there's another special guest with us today. We are changing up things on the Booknerds Podcast this time. So yeah, Damini, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here on this podcast.
Damini Grover, the author of The Intentional Being, and she's a counseling psychologist. She is a coach of many kinds, but more importantly a life coach. Her LinkedIn bio is amalgamation of many things, but primarily she has recently received the top voice mark, as they call it, or achievement. It's an achievement.
Whatever, it's achievement. Okay, fine, let's call it that.
Yeah, personal life coach and
personal coaching and
personal
life coaching voice.
Life coaching voice. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
That's the in thing right now. One
yes,
has to be
trending.
That. It's trending.
It's trending.
And it comes from consistency and being authentic in a particular space. That's what I believe. The official word for 2023 was authenticity.
Authentic.
And that's what you have done in 2023. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
On my right is Mahi from Team Booknerds. She has joined us for this special podcast because she has also read the book. Yeah. She has her opinions, some good, some bad.
I would say all good.
That means that you're lying. Don't lie.
Actually, valid point.
Yes.
I am not a good critique.
You're not a good critique? No. Oh my god. Booknerds reviews. We are dead. Anyways, so we are going to discuss the book. It's going to be like a bit of a no holds barred sort of session. There is not too much structure to it. If you want to have coffee or walk out on us, it's totally fine if you don't like it.
Imagine if you do that though.
That would be fine.
You should imagine if I do that though.
But we'll make sure that our entire team pounces and get you right back.
No, I'm not doing that. Don't worry.
Cool. So thank you for that. But let's talk about, being intentional, because a lot of our viewers, our listeners and readers won't have listened to our conversation on live that happened earlier, and they won't know about what's this intentional thing that has come up, because most of us haven't read about it or heard about it, and you must be getting these questions online as well. What is intentional? Because people have heard about like mindfulness, they know ki okay, this is something which we might understand, but intentional is a bit of an enigma, to be honest. And sometimes it is also confused with other negative connotations. So we'll discuss that later. But let's start with how to be intentional. What is intentional exactly?
So, in very simple words, being intentional means just being focused. Okay, let me just keep it as simple as possible. And the intentional being is basically anybody. It can be you, it can be Mahi, it can be me. Anybody who decides to be a little more focused, a little more mindful in one and then, different areas of their life, so that you're not running on autopilot. Like, you don't wake up on a particular day and be like, acha mera din to वैसे ही जाएगा जैसे रोज जाता है. I don't know where my life is going. I don't know where my relationships are going. And my health needs attention, but I have work to do. So basically, you are just running from one place to another and आप वो सब काम कर रहे हो जो आपको करने हैं because life has to go on, but you're not, the feeling part of it is not there. You don't feel like you own your life. Like, you are the master of your life. Things are just happening and you're just sitting, in the passenger seat कि मुझे किस्मत जहाँ ले जाएगी मैं बस चला जाऊँगा या चले जाऊँगी.
Uber with no destination.
Exactly. No, you're actually telling the Uber guy कि भैया मुझे नहीं पता कहाँ जाना है, आप ले जाओ कहीं पे भी. हाँ, बस हम वहीं उतर जाएंगे. Exactly. And most of us are like that only. So being intentional means that, you realize that, okay, this is my life, which is like a car, okay, just for an example, and I am sitting at the driver's seat, so I get to decide कि मुझे कहाँ जाना है, मुझे कब जाना है, मैं कैसे कपड़े पहन के जाना चाहता हूँ, मैं कहाँ पे उतरूँगा, कहाँ पे खाऊँगा. Basically, you're putting in your own energy into everything that you're doing, and you're not living a life where everybody else is telling you what to do. Or even if nobody's telling you what to do, you basically just don't have an idea. Right? So when you become focused, that's when you become more intentional. And जब आप intentional हो जाते हो, यानी कि सोच समझ के आप वो सब चीज़ें करते हो अपनी लाइफ में जो करना चाहते हो, you feel a lot more connected, you feel a lot more aligned with every choice that you are making. फिर ऐसा नहीं लगता कि I'm just a victim of circumstances and जो हो रहा है बस वो किस्मत के भरोसे है. आप you feel कि नहीं मैं कहीं तो जा सकता हूँ, जा सकती हूँ, मैं कुछ तो अपनी लाइफ के साथ better करना चाहता हूँ या करना चाहती हूँ. It's that.
Okay. We'll delve deeper into this because easier said than done.
Absolutely.
Being intentional would require a lot of systems perhaps and a lot of skill also, because it's not easy. I mean, it's very easy to kind of go with the flow, which it's such a common, language word, like go with the flow. But does it work? I don't think so.
कभी कभी, बट हमेशा तो कुछ भी कभी वर्क नहीं करेगा ना. इफ यू आर नॉट अडेप्टिंग, इफ यू आर नॉट फ्लेक्सिबल इनफ टू मूव विद द टाइम्स, राइट, और टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द सिचुएशन रियली नीड्स, देन ऑब्वियसली यू वोंट बी एनीवेयर.
और प्लानिंग अहेड.
Sometimes it's planning ahead, sometimes it's about that, okay, I don't want to plan, maybe I just want to take a step back and literally go with the flow. But the point is, it is coming from a place of thought. It's not coming from a place of helplessness and a sense of giving everything up कि क्योंकि मुझे पता नहीं है कि मुझे क्या करना है, and I am not maybe equipped enough or I am not skilled enough to even think or come up with new ways, so I am just going to let nature take its course. It's not that. So even if you want to go with the flow, do that if you can bear the consequences.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Consequences. Now this is getting a bit hectic.
Passive aggressive.
Yes. That was. So Mahi, I would like to bring in her because she has read the book, and what were your first impressions when you read it back? Like I think 6 months or something like that.
I think I read it last year in the mid.
Last year, huh? So what were your first impressions? And now, of course, she's sitting here, but I mean, tell us more. I mean, what was your feeling and being with the book for a long time, because you were making content around it as well and everything. So yeah, share more.
Yeah. Okay. So like as I mentioned to you before as well, that this was the first non-fiction book that I read. Like I was a teen. Like I'm 20 now, but I was a teen, so of course we don't read non-fiction books. Like it's a given.
So yeah, we always forget that. I mean, most teens don't do that.
Yeah.
Actually. मैंने तो खुद नहीं पढ़ा था कुछ.
Exactly.
I started reading only. I picked up books I think when I was in class 11th. Summer vacations में, क्योंकि ज़बरदस्ती we were, it was a holiday homework sort of a thing. So that's when I picked up, I remember The Fountainhead. and there was one more I'm forgetting, but yeah, the Fountainhead stayed with me. But that was the first time I actually picked up books, and I said, oh my god, these are actually fun to read. Why haven't I done this before?
I was reading only two things, Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, and that's it.
I started.
Archie's.
Ruskin Bond, comic books.
Did you guys?
I used to read Archie's.
Did you guys read the Noddy series? I started with that.
No.
Like
No.
it was in 6th, I guess, and there were like 24, 25 Noddy books in the series, and I would go to library each day. I would take a book, I would finish it. Next day, I would come again, and the librarian was like, "You need to stop coming here. You need to get a life." And I was like,
No, seriously, that happens, because we had just one sort of slot every week.
Yeah.
And that used to happen. And with comic books, it was like we had access all the time, because those were private libraries and rental places around the colony or whatever. And then we would get 5 or 3 or 5 in the morning, and by the afternoon, we would be back for more. And then you run out of money, but you still want them. So you kind of do barters then.
Nice.
You do so I did barters. Like I would have something, like those stickers.
yeah.
What was that? Boomer stickers. And those, Tazos we used to have.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to bribe that guy or barter. Just keep this and give me a rental.
Book de do.
So I did that. So entrepreneurship started there. Anyway, so why you were saying, we digress.
So basically, this was the first non-fiction book I read, and I would say it was such an easy read, because you were not making something so complicated you need to hold your ear like this or like this, but it was so easy to read this and then understand it. And especially some facets that you mentioned about parents, because that usually happens during the teenage, and I was like, I could relate to this so much because of your simple writing. And then the things that you said that were we all know these are common words, but hearing these things from somebody else actually hits to the point, and you're like, okay, so that is the issue. And as you mentioned that usually we go with the flow, we never go out of our comfort zone. So that is happening with me right now, because in the morning I have college, then in the afternoon and evening I have coaching. So there is no time to do something for myself and put a pause and question that what is actually happening. I'm just on an autopilot. So the book does help you realize that you need to take a pause. You need to think that if I'm not doing this, what would I be doing? And I would say that this was a very, very good read for me, a solid 9.
Oh, thank
Wow.
you so much. That means a lot.
ये तो Amazon से भी आ गई है. No, so yeah, and we are messaging on Slack. So that's another problem to deal with. So cool. I mean that, and if a teen has written the book, then
yeah. It actually did feel like it was
joke.
Very teen.
She didn't get it. I said that if the teen
If
has written the book, you associate more, right? But okay, so that's so cool, because that is first-hand feedback, and we didn't even plan this, so it's just kind of organic.
Yeah, I'm also taken a bit by surprise, but that does
because
mean
it's
a lot.
organic because we were supposed to do the podcast. She just came in.
Yeah.
So that's why.
I was planning to be an audience.
Yes. Okay, so something wonderful that I read in the book, and fiction came in as usual, and I love those parts as well. Page 27, Pina, you have quoted Murakami, and from the book The Wind Up Bird Chronicle. Like the ebb and flow of tides, no one can do anything to change them. When it's time to wait, you must wait. Where in the book does this kind of fit in, and why have you mentioned this, and what does it mean exactly in the intentional universe?
See, it goes back to what we were talking about, that being intentional with yourself, or being focused on yourself or areas of your life, require you to sort of balance a lot of things. See, autopilot पे रहना बहुत आसान है, and that's also a default mode. कभी-कभी ज़रूरत भी हो जाती है उसकी, because we are doing so many things. Obviously, we have limited mental and emotional capacity, physical capacity also. हर चीज़ पे अगर हम 100% focus देने लगेंगे, so we are going to burn out. So the autopilot in our brain and even our bodies that exists for a reason, so that we can keep doing what needs to be done, and we still have space to accommodate new information.
The job has to be done.
The job has to be done, right? So while of course that is okay, but you can't be on autopilot all the time. Now when you decide to switch gears, when you're telling yourself or asking yourself ki which area of my life needs what, you have to take into account different circumstances that you're dealing with. उसमें कुछ सिचुएशंस ऐसी होंगी, कुछ एरियाज ऐसे होंगे जहाँ पे आपको कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकल के चीज़ें करनी होंगी. यू हैव टू पुश थ्रू एंड यू हैव टू डू ऑल ऑफ दैट, एंड देयर वुड बी टाइम्स व्हेन यू कांट डू मच. You have to step back, you have to slow down, and you have to tell yourself that okay, there's not much that I can really do here. Maybe my task is to just manage things, but some things will go on their own pace. So it's like swimming against the tide. You won't do that. At times you just have to wait for the waves to kind of calm down, and then you're like chalo ab jaate hain swimming karne. So it's like that. So that's the assessment that needs to happen. At most of the times हम नहीं कर पाते हैं ये assessment because we are not focusing on ourselves. हमको ही नहीं पता हमको खुद से क्या चाहिए, रिलेशनशिप से क्या चाहिए, तो सिचुएशन में कौन सा फैक्टर कहाँ गड़बड़ हो रहा है, क्या डिमांड है, वो हम नहीं रीड कर पाते. तो गलत जगह पे जहाँ स्लो डाउन करना है वहाँ पे हम एक्सेसिव फोर्स के साथ एक्ट करेंगे. जहाँ पे थोड़ा पुश थ्रू करने की ज़रूरत है वहाँ पे हम बोलेंगे नहीं अभी हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे, भगवान सब कुछ ठीक कर देगा.
This is like every day for everyone.
Yeah, actually it is. And just going back to what Mahi said, that when I said that when you're deciding to go with the flow also, you have to be ready to bear the consequences. The point is that there are consequences to everything that you're doing. There are no free lunches in the world, and you're always making a choice even when you're not making a choice. Right? If I decide मुझे कप में जो भी रखा है अभी मुझे नहीं पीना, मुझे डिसाइड भी नहीं करना कि मुझे इसका क्या करना है, I've still made some decision, right? And there are going to be some costs associated with it. If I don't use this, maybe it's going to go waste, right? If I'm okay with it, then I'm okay with it. It's like that. So because हम consequences के बारे में ज़्यादा सोचते नहीं हैं, इस वजह से भी कई बार decisions लेने में बहुत गड़बड़ हो जाती है. अरे ये तो सोचा नहीं, अरे ऐसा कैसे हो गया. Obviously you can't take into account every factor, and you can't be well prepared for everything, but doing your best is what you can do, and that's what the essence of the book really is.
Right. Amazing. Cool.
You have given so many good analogies. I'm just like, I need to write it down. I need to write it down.
I know. We can always watch this back. And, we use those transcriptions,
yeah.
Text message, I suppose. Mike, you want to ask her anything?
Yeah, actually, there was this, you wrote it in the book. I would just read it. The job feels boring at times. The relationship feels okay. The conversations aren't fun anymore. Health seems to be dwindling a bit, and a feeling of not being stimulated enough begins to set in. Have you watched Ye Jawani Hai Diwani?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is what Bunny was talking about when he said, "मैं पूरी ज़िंदगी दाल चावल नहीं खाना चाहता," because there's a set of monotonous that comes into the life. So how would you describe that? How would this relate to leaving your comfort zone behind? I just saw a reel yesterday where a person was saying that my sister came out of depression, but then she feels sad because even in mental illness there is a comfort zone. There's a comfort to go back to being sad rather than being intentional and focusing on your health and being happy and all. So how would this relate to coming out of your comfort zone? And in the end, Bunny actually settles for their dal chawal. So could you also talk a bit about that?
Well, I do have a little problem with that movie, by the way. Okay. But anyway, we won't delve into the movie. But I like that you brought that. Both the things actually that you've picked up are very, I don't know, I'm not getting the word, but okay, they're very important. So when the character Bunny in that movie says that मुझे ज़िंदगी भर दाल चावल नहीं खाना है, see,
Bunny was Ranveer, no?
Ranveer,
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
My sister is obsessed with this movie, and if you're watching, please stop watching. Just stop it. It's problematic in certain areas. It's cute.
ज़्यादा दिमाग मत लगाओ. It's cute.
Many things cute, but people are adopting it as their life lesson and whatever. They do. People do actually. this is how life can, whatever, I don't know, let's move
See,
on.
but that's the power that movies have, right? But anyway, I do have a problem with him settling in the end. But then again, it's not also a problem if it came from a place of thought, if it came from a place of choice. And a person who's saying that he wants to travel the world, he wants to explore and, do all of that. Eventually, if he at that point in time feels the need to live a life where he can go back to someone, he wants the comfort of home and family and doesn't want to be that explorer anymore, it's completely okay. The point is that how are you viewing a particular person's change or even your own change? What is comfort zone for you? What is not a comfort zone for you? That only you can decide. See, it's very easy for us from the outside to sit and judge a particular character. अरे ये इसने ऐसे क्यों कर लिया? इसकी इतनी अच्छी लाइफ थी, पेरिस घूम रहा था, ये कर रहा था, इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटी छोड़ के अभी इसने गर्लफ्रेंड के पास में आ गया. But what if that is something that he felt, the need to do?
You came back, right? After studying
I did. Yeah. And see, that's what being intentional is, that you will make choices.
I think we bonded over this in the last session because I also did that. And the negativity you face after that, it's crazy.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
Because you're like, oh, what the hell?
हाँ, पूरे खानदान की नाक कटा दी.
You were supposed to get the green card, man. What the hell have you done?
Exactly.
So you were the green card sort of holder.
I wouldn't say green card holder, but हाँ, मतलब उस time पे, if I remember correctly, I was the first one to sort of go out from my family to even talk about this. ऐसे abroad जाना, and of course it was a struggle for my parents also, to arrange everything
Loan.
and मतलब finances और सारी चीजें, सब कुछ, और फिर
it's hard for middle class.
बिल्कुल और वहाँ पे contacts ढूंढना कि भाई बच्चे का कौन ध्यान रखेगा. So even for them to get out of their comfort zone and make sure that everything is okay, so it was very difficult, but it did work out for me on so many levels. Like some things your gut just tells you, and yes, I did ignore my gut feeling because I was under a lot of pressure that, oh shit,
and you feel cold.
अब तो ये हो गया.
And then you went to the UK. You went to the UK. It is going to sound very funny. Of course, it is funny. That time it wasn't. But on the first day when it started snowing there, I actually called up my father and I cried. Oh my God.
This was like वहाँ पे 5-6 कुछ बज रहा होगा and morning का. And I called him up and I'm just crying and he's like, क्या हो गया? मैंने बोला, डैड स्नो पड़ रही है. तो लाइक, अरे बेटा ये तो अच्छी बात है ना, मतलब तुमने तो जिंदगी में पहली बार स्नो देखी है, जाओ स्नोमैन बनाओ, एंजॉय करो. एंड आई एम लाइक, बट स्नो पड़ रही है, मैं कैसे जाऊंगी बाहर? आई हेट द कोल्ड, मेरे हाथ पैर ठंडे हो रहे हैं, मैं नीली पड़ रही हूँ, कितने लेयर्स कपड़े पहनूं मैं?
I went the other way around actually. I went too crazy. So I thought that this is it, I'm going to enjoy. So what I did was, I used to go to work in the morning and I took my backpack. There was a huge Dell laptop in it of at least 5 kilos. I don't know. Dell used to make those humongous laptops, but it was a new one. So I used to carry it everywhere. I don't know why. So I took it and I started walking. Then I was supposed to get a cab, so that cab driver was waiting. So I started running and there was black ice. I skated for like 50 meters.
Oh God.
Have you seen in the movies when clumsy characters go like that?
Yeah.
I went like that and flipped and fell on my back, and that laptop landed with me on the ice.
Oh
okay?
God.
On black ice, not even snow.
This is such a stark contrast,
Yes.
to that same experience.
But Dell
saved you.
It saved me, my back, and it saved itself.
Itself.
So I'm saying that, it doesn't work out sometimes because you are in a space where you're not really are going to be comfortable, or you are not. So what were the repercussions? Because this is the part where you become the person you are right now. Because you come back, you go through a lot of shaming, right? There's a lot of public shaming from neighborhood aunties.
I remember random relatives walking into my house.
Neighborhood aunties?
Not neighborhood aunties. Like I said, I'm not very social.
Okay.
So people know me, I don't know people, and that works very well for me.
Very nice. So what was the comment you were getting?
That अरे तू तो लंदन गई थी ना, भाग क्या गई? And I'm like, नहीं वैसे तो मैं फ्लाइट लेके आई थी, but चलो कोई बात नहीं, we'll settle for this only.
So how does one kind of claw back? Because a lot of people go through this. A lot of people are going out to study as well. They take these big decisions, take huge loans as well. There's a lot of things are happening, and then to repay also it gets quite hectic.
Yeah.
How does one restructure their life?
So it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of inner work actually to deal with all of this. Because even when I was taking the decisions, it was not easy. It was such an unconventional thing to do, right? And I was being told that XYZ का बच्चा भी गया है पढ़ने, वो तो तुमसे 1 साल छोटा है या छोटी है whatever, and उसको भी struggle हो रही है, but they're managing. 6 महीने में settle हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा. मेरा कोर्स पूरा साल भर का था. मतलब साल भर में से मैंने अगर 6 महीना 8 महीना मैंने ऐसे निकाल दिया, तो बच क्या रहा है करने के लिए, right? My experience just goes to waste completely. And of course before taking it was not a rash decision. ऐसा नहीं है कि अरे handle नहीं हुआ तो बच्चा वापस आ गया, which at that time the adults were thinking. It was a very well thought of, calculated decision. I took all the factors into account, that what do I think is going to be the future if I do the course? Am I actually going to enjoy it? Is it something that's going to get me anything? Is the life here that I'm going to be living for the next 1 year, is it something that's going to add value to my life? कुछ मिलेगा मुझे तब तो I go through it, right? But मुझे कहीं से भी कुछ भी मिल नहीं रहा था. मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा sacrifice और compromising situation ही बार-बार समझ में आ रही थी.
You were working also at the same
No,
time?
I wasn't. That was something that I was contemplating, but I just couldn't get there. See, because my idea was to go and have fun, was to enjoy my course, was to make friends and learn, but none of that was happening. For so many reasons. And then of course my mental health started to decline because मुझे वो मिल ही नहीं रहा था जो मुझे चाहिए वहाँ पे, plus the pressure of such a big decision. And I had to take a call fast because 1 साल है, टाइम कम था. So मुझे first 2 months के अंदर समझ में आ गया था कि यहाँ पे तो दाल नहीं गलने वाली है. And but I still took my time. My family tried to talk me out of it. They gave me whatever support they could. But finally, when I went back after my winter break, I said कि हो गया. अभी my gut is telling me that नहीं होगा.
Talk me out of it.
Yeah.
It's because I have gone through it, so I can understand. But that will require another podcast. Let's go back to the book. And Mahi, you have any?
I would just like to actually comment on that I guess this was where you started focusing on your intention, because I'm living away from home as well, but I can't imagine questioning that, should I do this, should I not do this? Because apart from the pressure from relatives and parents, there's also pressure on ourselves, because we have broken away from that sort of the structure, home structure, and there are financial issues, of course, and then you have to live away from home. So I can't imagine me putting a pause on my life right now, even if I was feeling sad or my mental health was not doing good, because I would be like, इतना किया है उन्होंने, मैं तो इतना कर ही सकती हूँ.
Because that's always the pressure.
Yeah. So I was like, I would say that this is so amazing that you being in London, while I'm still in India, you being in London questioned that and then put a pause on your life, and then
it's harder there, because
it is, and I think I of course relate to everything that you have said, and probably that's why the pressure was more for me to take a call jaldi. Because finances were in play, and in fact I clearly remember having this conversation with my father that if I were to pull out jaldi rather than कि और 3 महीना 4 महीना निकले, we may be able to get some money back also. Because कुछ refund policy या कुछ भी होता है. So that was one of the things that I'd already taken into account, that how much loss are we going to bear. And it did work out, because after I came back, I think a few months later, randomly this money popped in, and when we tried to figure out कि ये कहाँ से आया, तो it was the college refund, and it was quite a decent amount. तो बच गया वो. That's why I say that,
Where were you around that time when I was making those mistakes?
I was making my own.
I pumped in freaking 10 lakhs more.
Oh my God.
And then ended up paying it for over 5 years.
Oh my God. And I think I was busy making my own mistakes back then so that we could have a podcast here and we could talk about it.
I didn't have the, strength to say no. I went through with it. And I did it nonetheless. Because I knew that I'm not going to do something in this field anymore. But still I completed because पढ़ाई करनी तो आती थी हमें ना. So that is the pressure. You know what she's talking about? That we will ace the exams. And exams are coming up. Board exams are coming up. Your active time is there. Let's talk about that. Do such kids approach or parents approach you?
For what
the
kinds?
For clients or something.
Regarding?
Can you talk about this entire exam stress and whatever results, all those things, because it's just around the corner in March and they have started in many places. What do you tell them?
I don't know, it depends on what they're really talking about, but
It's just
basically
general ballpark,
See, generally things have also changed a little bit, not zyada, but thoda where there is this one category of parents who are a little more chilled and who understand the mental health aspects and who are able to tell their kids that we just want our kid to be healthy. कोई बात नहीं, तुम marks मत भी लाओ ज़्यादा, कोई हमको problem नहीं है, बस you should be okay. And I've had the privilege of working. I've had the privilege of working with such kids also and parents also.
Delhi things. Delhi things.
And I wish
tier 2.
Oh well, I know. I wish more parents would be like this.
I think if it's not the parents, it's the kid themselves.
Then it's the kids also. So the work
because my dad is like, it's okay. जितने भी marks आए, you should मेहनत तो कर तू. But I'm like, मेरे को पूरी मेहनत करनी है. I need to get 100.
But this happened with me also. My parents never forced me.
Yeah.
But because of peer pressure, because everybody was getting 90s, I was like, oh my God, I got 88. Oh my God, I'm such a failure. So
and that does happen, because in fact, this is one conversation that I was having just yesterday with one of my clients where we were talking about the fact that, okay, आप कुछ subjects में मान लो आपका strength नहीं है, interest नहीं है, aptitude भी आपको नहीं लगता है कितना है, and you're not doing very well. But then there are also things that you're doing well at, right? But we as a society, as individuals, will always have a tendency to focus on the things जिनमें आप अच्छा नहीं कर रहे हो. We tend to glorify और उसमें जो आपकी strengths हैं वो छूट जाती हैं, तो फिर आप उन चीज़ों के पीछे पड़ जाते हो which are and we're conditioned to believe that okay, subjects like maths and science, for just for as an example, कि ये बहुत important है, ये होना चाहिए. Thankfully the narrative has changed now. Things have of course taken a turn for the better, but पहले इतना नहीं होता था. अभी भी बहुत parents और बच्चे भी उस चीज़ में थोड़ा सा भी stuck हो जाते हैं. बट द पॉइंट इज दैट हम घूम फिर के जो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं उसको ग्लोरीफाई करते हैं. फिर हम लोग का भी माइंडसेट ओवर टाइम ना वैसा ही बन जाता है कि आपको 88 और 90 के बीच का बस गैप दिख रहा है, लेकिन आपकी खुद की 88 तक की जर्नी आपको वो लगता है कि वो उसका कोई मैटर ही नहीं है, वो तो मीनिंग ही नहीं है उसकी.
I didn't have the audacity to talk about 88.
Exactly, because क्या वैल्यू है ना उसकी एक 90 के आगे.
कुछ नहीं है,
बस
2 की डिफरेंस है.
अरे 99 और 100 के बीच में बताओ 1 मार्क का डिफरेंस है. उसमें भी बच्चे बोलते हैं, लोग बोलते हैं कि अरे 1 मार्क से रह गया
भाई. इट्स लाइक थोड़ी सी और मेहनत कर लेता, कितनी कर लेता भाई.
एग्जैक्टली, वो जो अभी तक करी है वो
इट इज गेटिंग टू सीरियस बिकॉज़ ऑफ कोटा.
बहुत ज्यादा.
Have you come across such clients who are contemplating doing something bad to
होता
themselves?
है, बिल्कुल होता है.
So what is that? Do you sense the darkness and then you kind of, how do you
see
resolve
the thing is that once somebody comes for help, अगर वो stage पे आ गए हैं तो it's not about the darkness, but they really need that help and they are talking to you about it. You just need to help them to sort of articulate and put together what exactly is happening and help them to fight their own inner demons. And of course there are some demons which are societally created as well. They don't know how to kind of deal with that, but it is unfortunately I wouldn't even call it a modern day reality. It is a reality. It has been there for many years. और जो ये तो बहुत extreme form ले लेता है, but थोड़ा pressure तो हम सभी experience करते आए हैं.
What is your opinion on the recent change that has come in?
regarding
the law that they can't enroll students below class 9.
Yeah, for
I
the
think
coaching.
it's good. Because you know the kind of the when I look at kids today, मतलब मेरे को अपने टाइम पे डर लगता था, पर मुझे आज बहुत ज़्यादा डर लगता है.
Yeah.
Because kids they don't have any life. वो स्कूल से already स्कूल के इतने pressures हैं, and उसके बाद में also the kind of schooling that they receive at some places it's really controversial. And then उसके बाद में वापस आते ही they have no time to rest. ये ट्यूशन, फिर वो ट्यूशन, फिर ये कोचिंग, फिर कोचिंग का pressure. It's madness. And kids are not living the life of a kid.
And
ace everything. मतलब अगर पेरेंट्स नहीं बोल रहे तो कोई कोचिंग में गला दबाने को तैयार है, अगर कोचिंग छोड़ दो तो घर में माँ बाप शुरू हो जाते हैं. It is really bad. मतलब मुझे अच्छा लगता है कभी कभी सोच के कि thank God I'm not a kid in this you know at this time, because it is incredibly difficult.
Oh, it's such an irony. I just remembered the first IIT coaching I enrolled in. It was called Doon Ace. Such an irony, right? If you don't ace, then you are a failure, right? It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
Doon Ace.
Absolutely. मुझे याद है मैं तो पूरे टाइम स्टापो खेलती रहती.
You have done it too?
What? नहीं.
Okay.
मेरा कोचिंग वाला कुछ सीन ही नहीं. हम तो आर्ट्स वाले थे.
Oh, okay. Finally, I really wanted to talk about intentional relationships because it's a part in the book also. And okay, we are getting into really absurd territory here because relationships are just breaking down right now around us, in community, in society. So many people have split up in my own circle also, which I feel I'm devastated by that, to be honest. Not out of pity, just because I don't want that to happen to anyone. So what is your take on that? Why is it happening? And how can we improve it? The most important thing is how can we kind of improve it if it needs any improvement?
Well, the second part is actually easier to answer, but more difficult to implement, which is improvement के लिए when you become again intentional, when you start focusing on what kind of relationships do you want, what would add value to you, what kind of a person do you want to be with, what life goals do you have, what's your vision, तब जाके relationships कहीं fit बैठेंगे. And to go back to you know what you talked about, that relationships are just breaking down and everybody is splitting and they're not working anymore. It's both good and not so good.
Okay.
Now it's good because ऐसा नहीं है कि relationships पहले कभी break नहीं होते थे, लोगों के divorces नहीं होते थे या you know families में.
It was not on paper.
But it wasn't talked about this much. It wasn't highlighted this much. जितना 2020 onwards हुआ after the pandemic, and of course pandemic में बहुत ज़्यादा भी हो गया.
Is there data behind it also? Is there some data that supports?
Of course there is. Of course there is, but I don't remember.
No worries. You can add it to the caption if there.
Yeah, there is. See, because pandemic में क्या हुआ ना कि इतने सारे changes आ गए, and one of the major ones being that you were forced to stay in the same place, you know, in your houses with all your family members and with all their baggages, with all their dysfunctions, everything put together. And pre-COVID लाइफ तो नॉर्मल सॉर्ट ऑफ चल ही रही थी. आप काम पे जाते हो, वापस आते हो, बैंडविड्थ होती नहीं थी, सो जाते हो, इश्यूज डील करते नहीं, ऑटो पायलट. अब कोविड फोर्स्ड एवरीबॉडी टू मूव आउट ऑफ दैट ना, बिकॉज इतना लड़ रहे हो, इतने क्लैशेस हो रहे हैं, तो कुछ तो करोगे. दिस इज अ रियलिटी दैट यू हैड टू फेस, एंड पीपल रियलाइज दैट ओके देयर इज अ लॉट इन दिस रियलिटी दैट इज नॉट वर्किंग फॉर मी, सो आई हैव टू डू समथिंग. सो दैट्स व्हेन यू नो द नंबर स्टार्टेड टू गो अप. होता तो पहले भी था, आज भी 15 20 साल की शादियों के बाद में या एसोसिएशंस के बाद में लोग बोलते हुए आपको सुनेंगे जब मजाक बनाते हैं. तुम्हें 5 साल बाद पता चलेगा कि शादी के बाद क्या होता है, पर पता लगता है ना कि अंदर कितना दर्द है जो तुम इस तरीके का कमेंट मार रहे हो, राइट? हर
I do it out of just sarcasm.
But there's some people,
when I see people happy na, I just say it. I don't know why I can't bear their happiness, in the sense, you know, because there is a structure to it and there is a mehnat to it to make things work.
Absolutely.
People don't take it seriously.
See,
then I say
it's not even taking seriously, you know. The sad and strange part is, and you'll hear people saying, I mean, I don't know whether you've heard, but of course I've heard and I've worked with people. People actually don't know कि रिलेशनशिप में क्या करते हैं, दे डोंट नो कि शादी के बाद क्या करते हैं. मतलब what is the meaning of marriage? मतलब आपने wedding कर दी, आपने wedding ceremony कर दी. Now the two of you are living together. Yeah. What do you do in that association?
Can you define it for them? We'll just play.
It's like what you said, and I remember वो भी Coffee with Karan में Deepika Padukone also made that statement that relationships take a lot of work. It takes intention every day to decide what kind of communication do I want to have with my partner. चलो अगर ये लड़ाई हो गई तो मेरे को कैसे इसको रिजॉल्व करनी है, नहीं करते हैं रिजॉल्व तो क्या रेपरकशंस होते हैं, मुझे किस तरीके का पेरेंट बनना है, मुझे किस तरीके से अपने बाकी रिलेशनशिप्स को विद रिस्पेक्ट टू माय पार्टनर वो मुझे हैंडल करना है. देयर सो मच ऑफ वर्क,
देयर सो मच,
एंड इट्स इजी टू जस्ट गेट अप एट 8 in the morning, get ready, have your breakfast, pick up your bag, just go to work. And everybody else in your house can just take care of themselves. मैं तो काम करूँगा या काम करूँगी, वापस आए इधर से चेंचे उधर से चेंचे, अरे I'm too tired, I'll just go office. Finish. End of story.
That's it.
That's what most of us are doing. Yeah. Right?
And then over the weekend everything comes up.
Absolutely. And then nobody wants to stay at home. चलो hobby class ढूंढते हैं, चलो मैं golf खेलता हूँ या मैं किट्टी पार्टी में जाती हूँ या मैं
check into a homestay.
Exactly. आप अगर अपने घर में ही नहीं रह सकते, आप अपने रिलेशनशिप्स को घर नहीं समझ सकते, तो फिर पॉइंट ही क्या है? एंड पॉइंट इज लोगों को पॉइंट पता ही नहीं है. You will have females talking about the same thing कि अब मैं कैसे मैनेज करूँ. You will have guys saying the same thing. हमें कभी किसी ने बताया ही नहीं. हमें पढ़ाई करनी थी, हमको जॉब करना था, पैसे कमाने थे. I have to be the provider, like in terms of finances. I get that. What else am I supposed to do? So when my wife is coming from one end and my mother is coming from the other end, I really don't know मैं किसकी साइड लूँ, तो मैं चुप हो जाता हूँ. अब यहाँ से वाइफ को इश्यूज हो रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली शी इज फीलिंग अनहर्ड, मदर को भी इश्यूज हो रहे हैं. द पुअर गाय इज लाइक द सैंडविच इन द मिडल बिकॉज द गाय डजंट हैव द स्किल्स, डजंट हैव द टूल्स टू मैनेज हिज ओन सेल्फ एंड पीपल अराउंड, एंड द सेम गोज फॉर वुमेन एंड अदर पीपल एज वेल. तो पता ही नहीं है, तो ब्रेकडाउन नहीं होगा तो इवेंचुअली और क्या होगा.
mic drop moment.
People are not being intentional with themselves. Relationship requires working on two people together.
She's so right that we don't have the tools.
Yeah.
Actually,
how do we talk and communicate when we don't have it in us? Because for the longest time we were just following autopilot and doing things and not really understanding the EQ side of things. And you have talked about this in the book also. Being emotionally intentional. So can you elaborate on that, and then we'll kind of close the podcast perhaps.
So we've all heard of emotional intelligence. Of course, that's the legit official term, which is that we all, to be able to use the wisdom and the intelligence of our own emotions. Right? And being emotionally intentional is just an easier way, simplified version of saying कि basically तुम क्या feel कर रहे हो, तुम अपनी feelings को, अपने emotional responses को तुम कैसे action में डालना चाहते हो. That's something that you want to think, that you should be thinking about. For example, we all get angry, right? Now, anger as an emotion has a certain energy to it. It comes out in a certain way, which is pretty standard. Standard is that your voice will go up. You would want to scream and shout. At times you would want to get physically aggressive also because वो energy ऐसी है, right? People don't understand their own anger. People don't know क्या करूँ जब मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है. Suppose I'm angry with Rohan, right? Rohan is not around. Now I don't know what to do with my anger. I'll probably go and lash out at Mahi. I'll probably go lash out at somebody else, break some things, or I'll wait कि जब तक ये वापस नहीं आता, जब तक मैं सारा इस पे निकाल नहीं देती, तब तक मेरे को शांति नहीं मिलेगी. But that's not what your anger is actually telling you to do. It requires you to understand how do I tend to behave when I get angry. First चीज़. दूसरी चीज़, if I decide to lash out at Rohan, what are the consequences going to be? Suppose instead of Rohan I'm saying it's my dad. Can I lash out at my dad? Can I go yelling at him? Would that be in the best interest of my relationship with my father? Because every relationship also comes with certain boundaries. There are certain rules that need to be followed. Yeah. I can yell at Rohan if he's my friend, for example, but I can't do that with my father. So being intentional with your emotions requires you to think, भाई किस पे आवाज़ ऊंची करनी है, कितनी आवाज़ ऊंची करनी है, कैसे आपको अपनी बात कन्वे करनी है while preserving the relationship. There's a lot of thought that goes behind it, but most of the times we don't. तो हम पापा पे भी चिल्ला देंगे, हम छोटों पे भी चिल्ला देंगे, हम कहीं पे भी जाके भी कुछ तोड़ देंगे in the name of anger, and then we justify it कि गुस्सा आ गया तो हो गया, गुस्से में तो ऐसा ही होता है. पर गुस्से में ऐसा नहीं होता. And those are the tools that you need to learn, which again, as we talked about that, a lot of us don't have the tools. Even I wouldn't have this knowledge or these tools if I hadn't thoroughly studied it.
Yeah.
मैं किसी और फील्ड में अगर होते हैं, this is something which I tell my clients also, that it's actually a privilege for us to be having this conversation here, even for me. मैं किसी और फील्ड में होती तो मुझे कुछ भी नहीं पता होता, तो मुझे भी नहीं मालूम मेरी लाइफ में जो चीज़ें मैं बेटर कर पाई वो मैं कर भी पाती या नहीं. And it's the same for everybody else also out there, that there are these tools available, whether in the form of books or videos or whatever. It's about time that we start making use of those. नहीं तो फिर लाइफ तो जा ही रही है ऐसे 15 साल बाद बोलोगे काश कुछ कर लिया होता.
I'm glad that you are creating awareness about this, because I know that nobody is the ultimate expert, but creating awareness is the most important thing about these things. So that is something I loved about your content and whatever you're making online as well, and top voice.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you, Mahi, for chiming in and kind of bringing in more perspective, and without any clue, because we didn't give you any chance to kind of prepare and everything.
Yeah, and ask some really nice
pretty
questions.
Impromptu, being organic. Thank you so much. And yeah, so this is the book. It's right here as well. Check this out on Amazon. Stores में Delhi में है?
Stores में नहीं है, it's available online.
Okay, Amazon. बाकी Damini is on LinkedIn and Instagram, everywhere. You can find her. I am Power, no?
Damini.IamPowered.
Damini.IamPowered. So you can find her there and give her the feedback, which is very necessary for any author.
Absolutely.
It may be good, bad, whatever you like, let her know, so that in the future editions of this book, sequels, or the new one that is coming up, she can get better in terms of writing, structure, whatever. That would be cool. And yeah, happy reading. And जब ये podcast launch होगा, it will launch on podcast.booknerds.in and YouTube channel at Booknerds. वहाँ पे जाके subscribe button और घंटी बजानी. So that's it. And I think so we forgot about the main guys. Kunzum bookstore and venue partner, and wellness partner JiViSa Wellness from the Himalayas. So yeah, thank you so much to them. And I think so JiViSa had sent something for you from the Himalayas.
Oh,
so
very
yes,
nice.
this is for you.
Oh,
Mine.
thank you. They have some lovely products.
They do, and
I love
the founders
them.
are also pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So try them.
And
if
I'll
you
tell you
haven't
something.
already.
So the founders of JiViSa, Sarika and Snehi, right? Snehi has actually done the cover and the interiors of the book.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that time they were doing in 2020. They used to work a lot with books and designing and all of that.
In COVID period.
COVID period में, yeah. So that's how I got in touch with Sarika.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And Snehi's
very
done a
thoughtful.
brilliant job
the
of the
cover
cover.
is so simple yet so impactful.
Very nice. So Snehi.
Snehi, we love the covers. Snehi, we love the interiors.
Snehi की तारीफ हो चुकी है. And hampers तो Damini will tell you all about it. कैसे थे, क्या थे.
मैं अभी बता देती हूँ. JiViSa's products are simply amazing. You guys, you have to go and buy them. I gift them to my friends and family members very often.
Wonderful. Great. हो गया.
Done है, sorted है अब
जितना
सब.
promise किया था उससे ज़्यादा हो गया. ठीक है. Cool. So see you in the next podcast. Until then, happy reading. Thank you so much.